Hi everybody, it's Rose of Sharon, and I'm back again with another anime review. It's actually, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's 9 separate stories, and it's all in this compilation called Japanese Literature Classics, or Classics of Japanese Literature. And History Project 20 was the one that decided to upload these all on his YouTube channel. And first of all, I owe the credit to him because it's not mine. And it looks like the animation was done by Toei, but I'm not for certain on this because it has a lot of that kind of really detailed look like you would expect from Macross, and it's very good animation, and that's one reason why I enjoyed what was called Robotech over here in the States. That was one of my, well, not my first real exposure, but the first, anyway, this was released in '86. It was a TV series that was based off of classics of Japanese literature. The first story is called The Grave of the Wild Chrysanthemum. And if you don't want to hear the stories themselves, then I would recommend watching them. But this is full of spoilers, so if you don't want to hear, just plug your ears. The main characters here are brother and sister, and they have deep love for one another. The girl is kept from her schoolyard friend by her mom, and the boy is sent off to school to study to quell the rumors that are spread at home. The girl is married and writes to her beloved, and it's only him that occupies her thoughts. He stays in school and receives a telegram that she died of miscarriage. She was a wild chrysanthemum because the flower reminded him of her. Before she died, she gripped her pillow, and the litter, as well as the genin flower, fell out. The genin flower was what reminded her of him. And the young man only loved his chrysanthemum after that. He never loved again. And it's a very sad story. It's very tragic. But it's very beautiful. It talks about enduring love. The second is called Theater of Life, and it's kind of Dickensian. Hikajin is raised in a Spartan area, and he has minimal comforts. He's sent to school, and his parents receive a telegraph. Hyokujin he's made a mockery of the staff and the school administration in his journalism. However, his father praises him for this, making a name for himself. But when he returns, he realizes that the woman that he loved, the girl that was so prevalent in his thoughts, Oren, she's become a geisha. He decides to head off to Tokyo to find her and follow a career in politics. It's the Lady or Tiger ending, but it's actually happy because the viewer has the decision whether Hyokujin actually got to see Oren or not. The third story is called A Roadside Stone. It's the tale of a young boy in the Meiji era, which is circa Victorian era, as he sets out to attend junior high for the first time. Goichi is the main character. He's too poor to attend junior high, since the business venture his dad invested in went sour. Apparently, there's an entrance exam one has to take if you want to attend junior high. Goichi's mother is sick. Well, she has heart issues. So he worked at the Isaya store under a different name because the owner of the store says your name is too difficult to pronounce and it's too hard to write, so it's going to be Gotsuke from now on. He learns his father had a loan that he borrowed from the Isaya store but never paid it off. His mom died, and Goichi sets off to Tokyo so he can pay off the debt himself. And one thing I really liked about this is the line where he says, "I will survive and triumph." And we don't know if he ever did or not, so that's more of a Lady or the Tiger. The fourth story is The Priest of Mount Koya, a ghostly abode. It takes place in the late 1800s. It's about a Buddhist monk. Along the path, his friend, a medicine seller, meets a mysterious and beguiling woman. Only after traversing snake-laden paths in a leech-infested forest does our titular priest meet the same woman. The woman has some rather unusual. She has a rather unusual husband and admits to feeling lonesome. She turns the men into beasts once they no longer satisfy her sexually. The priest was the only one to walk away and not sleep with her either. So it's more of a story of how our lust can make us animalistic. The fifth one is the tale of the Shunkin heartstrings is the subtitle. Otoko was born blind, so she relies on Sasuke to lead her around. Otoko learned how to play the koto and the samisen under a blind teacher. The irony. Sasuke is several years older than Otoko. Sasuke isn't supposed to be playing the koto, but Otoko still teaches him. She's given the name Shuken and moved to a village where she gives lesson. Ritaro was her first student, and she reluctantly entertains him at a party that he's throwing for his friends. For being denied at his party, Ritaro burns Otoko's face with hot water. Embarrassed, Otoko demands Sasuke never to see her face, so he pokes his eyes out with a needle in order to be part of Otoko's world of darkness. And I thought that was very sad. It was just such a tragic story. Sixth one is called Friendship. Actually, there are 8 stories. I'm sorry. I miscounted here. The turbulence of the young love among the wealthy in the Meiji era. Nojiki is in love with Tsukiko. Hayawara is a well-known journalist, writer who comes to the villa. Tsukiko devours his work. Omiya, Nokiki's friend, takes a cruise to Europe. He proposed to Tsukiko, but she refused, and Nojiki could see this coming when he and Tsukiko saw him off. He could see Tsukiko's affection for him even then. So he's left to bear this. At the very end of it, he said, "Dear Lord, help me bear this chalice alone." I thought, wow, this is depressing. The 7th story is called The Martyr. This takes place in the 16th century. This is about Lorenzo the Martyr. And this is actually a very well-known story. I didn't know this until now. I remember hearing Lorenzo's name before, but it's only because I know a little bit about saints, having friends who have been Catholic. Japan is divided by a civil war. The rise of Christianity in the 16th century. Lorenzo comes into the church from the cold. Simeon, a former samurai, watches over him like a hawk. A young girl comes to the church and leaves a note in his sleeve. Ine, the umbrella maker's daughter, finds herself with child and declares it's Lorenzo. It belongs to Lorenzo. He gets excommunicated. 6 months later, Lorenzo returns to the village and Ine's home is in flames. He rescues Oshino, which is Ine's child, but a plank of wood falls on him, killing him instantly. The baby lives. Ine lied about the child. Lorenzo never returned her affection, which she confesses to at his funeral. And then we figure out that Lorenzo is actually female because when he's lying on his deathbed, we can see that he actually has a breast exposed, but the priest lays her hands over her chest. And then they declare this is something that Jesus would have done, and he exemplified Jesus' life and what she did. Sanshiro the Judoist. Actually, this is my favorite. This is a 3-part one. The Lucky Adventurer is the first part. I don't know what the other 2 parts were called, but Sanshiro is the main character. He joins a dojo only to see his fellow judo students and the teacher get their tokuses handed to them. He joins Kadokan swiftly after that. A group of thugs comes into a restaurant wanting to fight him, but he fights them outside and accidentally throws a cop. Ooh, bad move. He returns to the dojo and the master explains his judo and Sanshiro's are diametrically opposed. He says that the teacher says, "Would you jump in a pond behind the dojo for me and die if I ask?" Sanshiro responds with the affirmative and is given time to contemplate true judo. Otomi's father asked Sanshiro to protect her after his death. Well, Higaki was the one that was following her around. And Higaki actually shows up in part 2, and Sanshiro was supposed to fight against him, but they don't get a chance to spar that day. But after her father dies, it's only after he spars with Higaki, because he takes upon a really terrible loss against Higaki. Higaki's actually superior in his judo. But after the funeral, it's only after that Sanshiro is asked to take care of her. But Sanshiro and Higaki finally fight, and it's the fight to end all fights. And boy, is it epic. It is the most incredible fight you've ever seen. And it's really rollicking, and you can't tear your eyes away from the screen. But after that, they decided to go to Tokyo together, because the fight was so vigorous that Higaki actually dies. So in the end, karma wins the day, and it just proves that you shouldn't be like Higaki and force something, because he was forcing Otomi. He said, I take whatever I want. It's before her father dies, but she's walking along the path, and he tries to force her to do something that she doesn't want to do, namely become his wife. And she wants nothing to do with him. She hates him. He's a terrible person. He has this complete disregard for anybody. It's just all about what he desires, what he wants. He's a complete narcissist. And not only that, but he's just a dastardly sort of person. But vengeance wins in the end. And I really can't say that much about the classics, although I did enjoy them. They were all really quite good. So if you're like me and you want to learn more about Japan and its culture, the people, this period of time, then feel free. My cat's got the crazies. All right. Until next time, live long, prosper. Ciao, Tutti.